not working. So I am François-Xavier Lanuzel, working at UBS, and I'm also part of the Emerge Alliance working group on research. And together with my Emerge colleagues, we organized this first Emerge webinar dedicated to engaged research. So this webinar is also part of the UBS International Week. And this is the first webinar of a series of webinars that will take place in the coming months and years. So we will invite you to 4 webinars every year, focusing on engaged research or participatory research, meaning basically research with and for the society. So as for today, we will welcome 4 speakers. The first one will be Maura Adshead, who is leading the Engaged department at the University of Limerick. We have one mic open, I think. So she will provide you with an introduction to what engaged research is about. And then we will listen to the first case study by Bastien Seantier, who is an associate professor at UBS in material science. The third speaker will be Michelle O'Donoghue, professor in speech-language therapy at University of Limerick. And lastly, Pierre Sauleau, associate professor in marine chemistry at UBS, will close the session. And then we'll have some time for questions. So with no further ado, I'll leave the floor to Maura Adshead, please. If you can share.
Okay. Hello, welcome. Let me share my presentation, which is only brief. Everybody see that? Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Oh, I see. Okay, there we go. We're at the start. Okay, so I'm here very briefly just to explain what is engaged research. And I think actually you all already know, you perhaps just may not be aware that you know. So in Ireland and increasingly in the European Union, engaged research is the family name. It's the family name for any research method that involves collaboration with research stakeholders in the design, the delivery, or the subsequent knowledge exchange activities in the project. So you may have heard of other examples like action research, citizen science, design thinking, public patient involvement, participant action research. There are lots and lots of engaged methods to describe collaboration. It is a very big family. So I tried to illustrate the variety and I listed some of the methods that I'm familiar with in science, in health, the arts, and so on. And you can see that the different methods operate at different levels of analysis, whether you're working with a sector, with an individual, with an organization, or with a group. And so what might be appropriate for one kind of research in one area might not be appropriate for another, which is why we obviously all have different kinds of approaches for the different kinds of research that we do. But there are literally dozens and dozens of engaged research methods. And the European Union, Engaged 2020, has set up a lovely catalogue here. So if you want to look at more methods, you can search their catalogue. You see all the methods here. You can search for, you can filter your search. You want to do a research activity. You want to collaborate, maybe at the local level with, I don't know, with an industry group. You can select your expertise. You can practically look at how many people you want to talk to, how much money you have. It's a wonderful mechanism. And for every different type of research, it gives you a description. There's a little YouTube video, a short description, a long description. And I couldn't count how many varieties there were here. But suffice to say, 60 at least different disciplinary methods that include collaboration. I think actually I got 60 when I counted the first set, but if you go into different schemes, you get more. So there definitely is an engaged research method in your discipline. With so many different methods, the need for a generic organizing concept became clear. And whatever the method, engaged research values collaboration and involvement with the community, either in the design, in the governance, in the data collection, or in the dissemination. So engaged research refers to that shared understanding between academics and their community partners about the kind of involvement that's possible and practical in the research. And if you're asking who is the community, lots of engaged research literature refers to community engagement. And your community are those people with whom you work. So the people who are impacted by your research, sometimes called stakeholders, sometimes called end users, users, knowledge users. They could be public or private, an industry or a group of interests, professionals, product users, policymakers, civil societies, individuals or organizations. Of course, your user group or your stakeholder group will vary depending on the kind of research that you do. So community is just a word for the people that you work with. There's a hand up. No? Perhaps questions after?
Yes, we're supposed to have the questions after. Yeah.
Okay. So asking, why should we do engaged research? This is a little joke here from a long time ago that my father, he was an engineer, gave me. When we're clear about the needs of our community, then we can facilitate impact by design. So in the university, we are all looking for impact. And when you work with your community, you can design impact into your research. It's a really simple idea that our research has more impact when we deliver what people want or need. And also, when we understand the ways that colleagues in different disciplines engage, it becomes much easier to work in interdisciplinary teams and to do interdisciplinary work. And of course, when we work together, we're better able to address the grand challenges that we all face in a practical way. So, what does engaged research look like? I have my three lovely speakers here, Bastien, Michel, and Pierre, who are going to show you. And if you're interested in presenting your engaged research, as Francois said, we have more webinars coming up. We have Emerge webinars in May in the University of Limerick. So get in touch with me. You will engage in the University of Limerick or with Francois or with your Emerge partner in your university. And you too can show off your work like Bastien, Michel, and Pierre are about to do now.
Thank you, Maura. Thank you very much. So we're going to switch to Bastien here. So Bastien is an associate professor at UBS, working in material science. Today we'll show you what he's doing for disabled people.
Shall I start?
Yes.
Okay.
Μάλλον όχι. Έτσι πώς το βλέπω. Μπορεί.
Nice to see.
Το βράδυ θα ξέρω. Το βράδυ θα ξέρω.
Somebody needs to turn on their mic.
Yes.
Yeah. It's okay now? Oh, okay. Good morning, everybody. I'm very pleased to be here today. I'm gonna show you and explain a project that I'm leading about water sport for persons with disabilities. It is done at UBS. It's a collaborative work done with many teams, and this is science that is made for society. So let's see what we are talking about. The main question here is to question how to make water sports accessible for persons with disabilities. And in order to answer to that question, that is a large question, the aim of the project is to propose all the skills and knowledge of university in order to address some specific part of this great question. So many questions that we have to deal with. For example, how persons with disabilities may see themselves and think about doing some sports. Most of the time they are thinking that they cannot do it, and how to make them, how to persuade them that they are able to do some water sports. So there are some basic skills that university can get about human science in general. There are also some skills about social science, about identifying the structures that are welcoming persons with disabilities to do some water sports, but also how to valorize this structure and how to make to give the information to end users. Other questions are about how to bring end users and PWDs, WDs from their house to the practice of water sports. So it's inducing all that the university is working on about urban planning, about transportation, and a lot of issue about organization of cities to allow end users to come and to practice water sports. This is also community engagement because we need to make cities and local authorities to develop their infrastructure in order to welcome people that wants to do those sports. So it means what about beaches, harbor, what to do to make them accessible and to allow persons with disabilities to practice their water sports. Of course, most of the time, it needs technical science in order to develop devices that help end users to practice the sports. It means stabilization on supports, it means locating, it means giving some information about what is happening around people, for example, for people with who are visually impaired. So the aim of this project is to go to interact with several colleagues in order to answer questions that enable persons with disabilities to practice water sports. So the solution is quite easy. We are trying to structure research in order to answer those questions by building networks to define and implement actions for helping the territories to develop and to welcome PWDs in water sports. So basically, we are interacting with end users, trying to catch what are their questions. We are doing it in a special environment, a specific territory. So there are interactions with local authorities, structures that are practicing water sports, also companies, in order to give with a scientific approach some answers to end users. So what I would say about this project is that it's quite, I would say, specific because it's very transversal approach, mixing a lot of topics, various scientific fields. Even in one scientific, it's a transdisciplinary approach, mixing, for example, material science, artificial intelligence and electronics in order to help people who are visually impaired to know what are the obstacles on the sea, for example. But as you see, we are trying to use cutting-edge technologies to answer the questions. And the answer that we are trying to give is to have something that is possible to disseminate in other territories and other supports or value supports. So if we try to rationalize the approach, first of all, if you know about what is happening, so just to let you know, I'm practicing sailing with persons with disabilities. So when you are looking at what's happening, everybody is doing little things by themselves and try to find solutions. But the question is how to make those solutions more efficient and transferable to other territories or various persons. So first, University is coordinating several projects. The project leader will discuss with their partners who are end users, companies, structures, and other researchers. With these discussions, they're going to develop solutions. So they're going to try to get something. And there will be usage workshop that enables to see if the solutions are usable for persons with disabilities. Once we have optimized the solution and that it's suit the requirements, then there's the last step, which is dissemination on territories and giving the solution to everybody. About the interactions we have and the projects we are doing, it's a lot of things. We are working on awareness raising by giving some events. We are trying to develop specific devices or to analyze what might be the obstacles for the practice of water sports. And there are some other activities about developing the performance of sailing boats, for example, or the practice of sailing for the students. So this cannot be done without interactions with persons with disabilities, associations that are welcoming and helping end users in their daily life. We also have to discuss with authorities, territories, but also sporting clubs, federations of sports, and to develop something which might be disseminated. We need to discuss with companies, other universities, and all this work is done for students and society. So just to give some examples about what has been done, we want to make water sport easier. So first of all, we have to question ourselves what are the limits for PWDs to practice water sports. So this is a research project that is done with collaborators in Angers, which is a university close to ours. And by discussing with and interviewing end users, authorities, and sporting clubs, we are trying to identify what are the limits of the practice and try to give answers. And as we are discussing with every partners, we are able to develop the solutions on the territories. Second project, which is developing a seat for persons with disabilities. So this is this project. We are trying to have a seat that is adaptable to the morphology of any persons with reduced mobility to enable them to sail in secure manner and comfortable manner. Another project is to develop techniques to give information to visually impaired persons, combining, for example, radar and stereoscopic cameras via artificial intelligence. We are able to recognize, track, and identify moving obstacles on the sea. And via a mobile app called Sarah, it is possible to give the information by an artificial voice to visually impaired persons to make them more autonomous when navigating. Last actions that we have is to make events in order to make water sport for persons with disabilities visible for society, and this is some examples of what we have done. So basically, as I told you, we are interacting with communities. We are developing solutions for specific things. And as soon as the solution is obtained, we are interacting with end users to verify that we are answering the needs and to make or improve the solution if it's needed. How to organize all these things? There is an advisory panel, made with scientists, disabilities experts, users, university. We are trying to address as much topics as possible. I'm coordinating this project, but I'm interacting with a lot of colleagues working in different fields in order to give the solutions. We are interacting with companies, with experts, and this approach helps to structure new research chair that will be held by UBS called TSE for Transition for Social Inclusion that we are building today. And everything is done for students, users, and more generally society. So if you want to have any information about this topic, please don't hesitate to contact me. I will be pleased to answer your questions or collaborate with you if you're interested of part of what I've told and part of the project. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Bastien. Yes, for all of these case studies, you can either contact Bastien, myself, and also our colleagues of Emerge that are in your own university. And then we can arrange, of course, meetings afterwards. So we're going to leave the floor to Michelle O'Donoghue. If you are ready, Michelle, you can share your screen.
Now, can you see my slides?
Yes.
Great, and just the slide. Perfect. Okay, well, good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Michelle O'Donoghue, and thank you for the opportunity to share the ARISE project with you today. And thank you so much to Bastien. What an interesting and impactful project. It's been so interesting to hear about it. And yeah, I hope that we will be able to link in and connect. There are some mutual areas, I think, that are similar across our projects. So ARISE stands for Activity and Recreation in an Inclusive Sensory Environment. And this project has developed from a long-standing community university partnership that we have here, which we call the Autism at UL Special Interest Group. So I founded and I'm co-chair of this group. Our membership includes autistic people and allies of the autism community. We are researchers, professors, administrators, parents, relatives, and friends, and we have representatives from local organizations. And lots of people wear several hats within the group, several areas of experience, lived experience, and expertise that they bring. What we aim to do, we aim to lead and support initiatives and research that promote inclusion and neurodiversity affirming environments. We foster a community of practice to support each other and advance impactful, engaged research and good practice. And this is aligned with our university's mission for an inclusive society. We strive to make UL a fully inclusive campus and a leader in autism research in collaboration with autistic researchers. We meet monthly, we organise webinars, and we engage in various impact initiatives. And here at the University of Limerick, we inhabit a beautiful campus. And one of the common focus areas for us in the group, in the Autism at UL Special Interest Group, has been considerations about access to and presence in nature and the impact that that has on well-being. So one of our previous projects was mapping the spaces around the university where people could go, connect with nature, reset as needed. So it's been kind of a focus for us. It's something I suppose that brings us together as well. The campus is that unifying factor of our group. So focusing then on the ARISE project, we know that engaging in physical activity is good for us, good for our physical health, our mental health, and our social health. And it's particularly beneficial when it takes place in the outdoors. And there's multiple statistics that tell us that people with disabilities and people who are older have low levels of physical activity. And research with the people themselves tell us that they experience barriers when accessing outdoor recreation facilities, such as, simple things like having sufficient places to stop and have a rest. And the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities recognizes that people with disabilities have the right to fully participate in physical activity, but the needs of adolescents and of adults with disabilities and of people recovering from illness and of older people are not sufficiently considered in the design of our outdoor spaces. So this project, we aim to understand the requirements and the preferences of these groups. And this project was driven by the experiences of members of our Autism at UL Special Interest Group and members of the community organisations who contribute to the group, in particular, DOCUS Midwest Autism Support. DOCUS is a vibrant organisation, it's parent-led, it is developed from a parent-to-parent model of support to offer social groups, they run inclusive events, they have employment opportunities for young adults, and they run 3 social enterprises. They have a cafe, a gym, and a printmakers. And people told us about their adolescent children who still benefit massively from using playgrounds, which provide, they're getting the exercise, they're getting proprioceptive feedback, but the families face barriers in utilising existing spaces. Their children are tall and strong, and the equipment is too small. And the other children using the spaces are much smaller than them. And parents can see that other parents are wary of their child. They worry that their child will inadvertently knock over a smaller child, and they just don't feel welcome. We can see that in the quote here, the unwelcome stares from parents and children alike can be intimidating. And they describe to us, that they go to the playgrounds very early in the morning, or they go when it's raining. So we wanted to do something about this. So in developing our application for the Citizens Assembly, which is a competition that is run on site in our university where you present ideas to citizens of Limerick and they vote and decide which projects they would like to support going forward. We look to other community groups as well who also experience difficulties in accessing exercise in outdoor spaces. And we linked with our colleagues in the Ageing Research Cluster and our Health Research Institute here. And the older people there, they described, to us the words like exercise is medicine. It is medicine that keeps them living in their homes for longer. But they described concerns they have like around safety and accessibility in trying to access outdoor spaces. So our vision for this project is that we will develop a proposal for a first of its kind outdoor activity and recreation space in Ireland that's designed to meet the needs of lesser heard groups. So this space will offer opportunities for exercise and to connect with nature, It will feature state-of-the-art interactive interfaces and installations, visualizations and ambient displays to support sensory connection and processing. And initially, our planned output was that proposal, which we planned to present to our local council and to our university executive to lobby for inclusive spaces. But our engagement with the Citizens' Assembly has resulted in this moving from a proposal to a reality even more quickly than we had hoped. So at the event itself, we connected with staff from the local council who saw the value in our project and in what we were proposing. And they provided us with a direct link to the Parks Department. And immediately on connecting, they could see how we can support them to address their commitment to inclusivity and user engagement. And of course, in life, timing is everything. And they were beginning the process of preparation of a site focused on sensory engagement. So we're now collaborating with them directly to inform the design of this site. So the processes that we are engaged in reflect the values that underpin our Autism at UL Special Interest Group, which are also informed by best practice guidelines in design and in participatory research and engaged research. And this includes foregrounding the voices of future users from the outset. So we're creating space and opportunity to include the voices of lesser heard groups, including people with complex communication needs, such as people who are non-speaking and people who use augmentative and alternative forms of communication, or what we call AAC. As part of our data gathering phase, we are coordinating visits to local parks with non-speaking autistic people and their families and observing how they interact with the space in order to better understand potential preferences and to try to incorporate those into the design requirements. Our project team includes people with lived experiences, people with expertise in design, physical activity, occupational therapy, physiotherapy, and like myself in complex communication needs. And we've also built in multiple opportunities for people to engage. So we have an iterative design process. So we want to identify what people want and need from an outdoor activity and recreation space, and to understand how people connect with nature and how they would like to connect when they're outside. So to achieve this, we are currently conducting focus groups, interviews, and the park observations. And we're using the data generated to create a set of design requirements. And next, then, we'll run a series of design workshops. So we're inviting people with lived experience of disability and older age, alongside design experts, experts in sound, people with expertise in supporting communication, expertise in sensory supports and exercise to all contribute together. We'll present our data to them, along with the information we've gathered in our exploration of current examples of the literature and kind of current state of the art from other places, and show them the site as well that we are developing here in Limerick. And together we'll design the space. And the process, as I said, is iterative, so that we can take what people say, modify our plans, go back to them again, check we're on the right track. And the same people might come to the workshops, or different people might come, but we'll cycle through a number of iterations. And then people will also have a chance to comment on our final recommendations. So, we envisage that this will have a positive impact on the development of the current site, and we hope on future design considerations too. So we're now moving to secure ongoing collaborative efforts in the future, and to explore funding opportunities to extend the life cycle of this project. Here are some pictures of our wonderful team. It's my absolute pleasure to lead this project. It's been extremely meaningful to turn our conversations into something real and tangible that will now have a positive impact for our city. And the bedrock of this study is the strong relationship that we have with our community partners, because we've been engaging with each other over time. There's trust there, and that trust is fundamental to community engaged work. And then the connections made through our engagement with Maura's team at the Citizens' Assembly have been hugely impactful for us, and kind of moved this from a theoretical idea that we were exploring and trying to lobby for to a very real thing. We were just walking around the site with our community partners last Thursday, and we certainly feel this real responsibility now, to our community to deliver a flagship project for Limerick and for its citizens. And so finally, in preparing for today's presentation, I brought this to our group, and we kind of reflected on what engaged research means to us. And I've just put together some of our kind of key learnings or messages that we have. That for us, engaged research starts with trust, and that requires time. Taking the time to build real relationships with your community partners relationships that aren't just transactional and don't feel transactional, but they're grounded in respect. And that also means working together to shape shared goals and shared values from the beginning. Being flexible and responsive is another key part of our approach, because community contexts shift, needs change, and new insights emerge. And we try to stay open and adaptable and ready to adjust our plans as the work evolves. You know, that's often easier said than done, but especially in the timelines we work within, but we try to keep that and hold that as important and valuable. We also prioritize meaningful collaboration. So that includes regular check-ins throughout the project and making sure that there are genuine spaces where every voice can be heard. So people aren't just invited in, but they're actually listened to and able to influence decisions. So it's kind of consciously building in those opportunities, those check-ins throughout the project. And finally, that engaged research is about building capacity together. We're committed to mutual learning and knowledge exchange, recognizing that everyone brings expertise and that the research is strongest when we're learning from one another. So thank you so much for your time and for this opportunity to share. And please do reach out if you'd like to know more or collaborate, or if you've constructive feedback or suggestions for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Michelle. It was very inspiring. Thank you again. So we're going to switch to Pierre. He's going to speak about marine chemistry. Here we go. If you make it fish.
Okay, good morning. It's a great pleasure for me to be here today to present the RAGO, le Réseau Alien Grand Ouest, which is the Western Alien Species Network of France. The challenge of this research program is to restore marine biodiversity. As you know, non-indigenous species, NIS or aliens, are one of the main causes of biodiversity loss and disruption of ecosystem services worldwide. And the coastline of Brittany and the Pays de la Loire, in the west part of France, are also affected by the proliferation of marine NIS. So I don't know if you are familiar with marine organisms, but you have on the picture a few examples of NIS, such as barnacles on the upper left picture, barnacles Ostrominus modestus, which are coming from New Zealand. On the right, you have macroalgae, Sargassum muticum, which is coming from Japan. And at the bottom on the left, you have some tunicates, Botrylloides diegensis, coming from California. And at the bottom on the right, you have some bryozoans coming from Pacific. And all those NIS can be found in Brittany here on our coast. So what is their impact on marine habitats, and what can be done to protect our marine biodiversity? This is a question that both scientific and divers have. And the solution might be this RAGO, this citizen and underwater observation platform to observe NIS. So scuba divers, citizens, are able to record a wide variety of species, including NIS, at a multitude of dive sites from 0 to 60 meters deep throughout the year. And no scientific team can accumulate such a large number of observations over time. Observations are recorded in the CHROMIS database designed by the French Diving Federation, FFI-SSN, and the presence or absence of invasive species at some sites suggests that some natives have the capacity to resist invasions. So the innovation of this program is that the Chromis database allow us to map the NIS, to track their expansion and monitor their interaction with natives over time. Scientists then can collect marine biological samples and proceed to chemical analysis to confirm these in situ observations. And in return, scientists specifically train divers to recognize NIS in order to reduce the risk of misidentification. So at the end, everyone learns from each other. So for researchers, the idea is to develop a nature-based solution to fight marine NIS. To date, there is no nature-based solution to limit the proliferation of marine NIS once established. Native marine organisms are known to produce a wide variety of active metabolites to communicate, attack, or defend themselves. And our hypothesis is that certain native species or their natural substances can be used to prevent the establishment and/or spread of NIS. On this picture, you can see on the left a Chinese marine sponge coming from China, maybe fighting against an indigenous species. And we try to understand who is the winner in this chemical fight. For divers, for this community, they represent the 20,000 eyes under the sea, because the scuba divers feel concerned about the impact of NIS on their diving sites. They notice the changes, but they do not know how can they be remediated. So RAGO contributes to the scientific acculturation of citizens who are increasingly interested in research projects. RAGO also responds to the regional and national strategies for NIS, as well as the EU Marine Strategy Framework Directive and the objectives of Natura 2000 managers. So the objective of our research program is to identify what we call allomons, which is in fact defensive molecules produced by natives to develop nature-based strategies against NIS. And after collecting marine samples, biological activities of indigenous species are screened onto NIS. And thanks to citizen observation, the number of samples to be tested is significantly reduced. For divers, the objective is to learn for themselves, while others want to give a different meaning to their practice and wish to contribute to science. But in both cases, the impact is a scientific acculturation of citizens. This project also encourages the inclusion of the young people in the practice of scuba diving and sciences. And beyond this benefit for citizens, this project aims also at encouraging public authorities to commit additional resources to limit the proliferation of NIS and support participatory research. So how this program works, we need scuba divers. Up to now, there is about 300 divers participating in this project. We need also scientists, chemical scientists or biological scientists. Together we mixed and make a project manager team. And we also need, of course, funding, and we are very lucky because we have the Brittany region, which is very implicated in citizen sciences. And that's it for my presentation. If you want some more, you can visit our website and ask a question when you want.
Thank you, Pierre.
Thank you very much.
Very good. That was very diverse, let's say. So thank you all. So we now have time for questions, if you want. So the floor is yours. We have a question. Can you read the question first in the conversation? There is one by Catherine about, do you think that the general public are becoming more or less familiar, more or less willing to engage in research? What are your experiences? Someone want to answer?
Part of an answer might be the fact that if you're answering to a need or to specific questions that are interested for society, people will be engaged more and more. And from my side, interactions with other sailors with disabilities or not, with other sports like surfing or paddling or canoeing or any water sports. There are more and more people that want to interact with me in order to develop solutions to their specific questions. So even if at the beginning of project interactions are not that much developed, by being known by the communities, it's the engagement is increasing more and more. So this is part of an answer. I don't know if it's the
what I can add at the university level is that I think that university has to make the first step, because otherwise there's very few chances that people would come and knock on the door, our door. So we have to organize what you do, for instance, in Limerick with the UL Engage department, and go to the general public. But when you do, I think most of the time it's a winning.
And can I just add there as well that in my experience, it can very much depend on the circumstance. So, you know, if the idea, again, has come from the group and they are motivated and interested and can see the value in the research, then you're probably kind of smooth sailing. But for sometimes people have had a negative experience around research, or, you know, I have had that experience before where there's been a cautiousness, you know, because people feel that it can be, and universities would be guilty of this at times, you know, dipping into a group to access their knowledge and then kind of disappearing again, and they haven't experienced you know, kind of like a positive impact, or sometimes even the results of whatever was found. So I think again that maintaining a relationship with whatever group it is over time, feeding back information, having those channels open and thinking about that can help. You know, because it might not always be you that they're linking in with, it might be other research that's going on. But sometimes some of our communities are kind of mined for research, you know, that people go back to them a lot. So it is important to kind of close those loops, and people feel that they what they understand, and they're clear from the beginning of what the focus and objectives are, and like managing expectations around that. You know, because sometimes our project are phased work, like what we're doing now, you know, bit by bit, and you hope it grows, but it can start small. So kind of being clear with our expectations has been helpful for us.
Thank you. We have a question by Thomas Ufinas.
Good morning. Thank you for this presentation. Sorry, it took me some time to unmute myself. Okay, the question is easy, and if you don't think it's appropriate for this meeting, then maybe you can help me otherwise. What we saw is very interesting. My question is a bit more primitive. How can we capitalize on the emerged network? I mean, if you don't like the word capitalize, maybe take advantage or leverage, in the sense that, you know, there are European program calls where we need, you know, consortiums of 4 times 2, let's say, members. And the question is, what is the easiest way to share somehow what we're interested in, and, you know, find allies within the network who can also approach, businesses in their own countries and then have a proposal to submit. And thank you very much for taking the question.
I have an
Maura?
answer. This is our very first webinar, all thanks to Francois to put the shape of it together. But what we're developing in our working group is to theme these webinars. So we tried with this one, but we didn't do too badly. That in future webinars we would deliberately collect researchers in the same theme, the same area, as a way of introducing you to each other. Because of course, when a call comes, you need to already know somebody or have contact with them. It's too late if you're only introducing yourself when the call is out. So the whole intention of Emerge is that as a group of universities and as a group of researchers, we would become more familiar with each other, so that we would already have those partners. And that's beginning to happen. At the moment, it's small because we're just beginning, but the idea is with these kind of activities, and also with your, so we do the work in UL Engage. We have a partner search. So if you're looking for somebody in our university, you can fill in a form and we can introduce you. And that's something that we're doing across the universities, so that we can all get to know our cognate partners better.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much.
We have a written question as well by Edgar. So Bastien is answering.
Yeah, similarly, I'm not familiar with them, but we'll certainly be looking them up. Thank you very much, Edgar.
Okay, it's begun.
And there was the question about the sending information to people. So this is something we've been thinking about with Maura, and we plan to have a dedicated, say, web page where you would get all the resources. Is that correct, Maura? Yeah.
Yep.
So I think, because I don't think we can send information by email to everyone. That would be too many emails, probably. Don't you think?
Well, so long as they're available to everyone, however we send them, if they can be put on a link from the website, that would be the easiest, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah. And as Maura said, what the plan, as we will organize several webinars like this, let's say after a while, when we feel that we have a topic which is, let's say, hotter than others, we could have a dedicated webinar on this topic. So, gathering, let's say, researchers from, interested in one topic, and then we can think of building a consortium for EU calls. So that's part of the plan.
I'm interested to ask, are the people who are on this call, are they here because they're interested in engaged research? Did they know about it, or think they didn't know about it, or do they now feel they do, or did they come just for the speakers? Did we? Thomas.
I had no clue of what to expect. It's my first exposure to the Alliance. We had a presentation in the university last year in one of the General Assembly meetings. So I thought it was an opportunity to find out more about what is happening. And maybe I had questions that are not 100% relevant to what was discussed, but then I know that something is moving. So I know a couple of faces, a couple of names, and I can send questions and maybe they can find answers in the future.
So did we
So
pass
that-
your test? Are we worth? Can we be capitalized on? Are we useful?
Absolutely. But, you know,
Okay.
I have more questions. Like, for example, you know, I mean, there is an alliance, but you also have Erasmus in case we find that we can cooperate with some of the people that are present in this webinar or in the future ones. Is it a channel through which we can physically meet and work together? I mean, that's my other question. Possibly this is not for today, but and then the third one is we all meet people from other universities that are not members of alliances. I mean, is there a procedure by which we can invite them in case they're interested? I don't know how that works. I mean, maybe that's a naive question and I should have done my homework before, but I don't know how it works, honestly.
In my experience, you only work with people that you know, that you trust.
Absolutely.
And when you're going for a larger grant, you don't want to go for it with people you don't know and you don't trust. So the idea is that we would have a group of people. Most big research grants, you need 8 partners, yeah, or you need a bundle. But if you have half your partners and you know them, then you create a circle that they bring somebody that they know, and if the person you trust trusts somebody from outside Emerge, they bring. But it's the foundation for that group. So of course you can bring in other partners from other places, but the idea of our alliance is that we have a foundation, that we have to start those, because to find 8 partners across the university, across the Europe for a call is very difficult. But maybe if you already have 3 or 4 and each of you finds one, it's much easier.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, Catherine Clifford found it interesting. Thanks, Catherine.
And also, if some of you want to share their work the same way as we did today, of course, you're welcome to contact us, either Maura, myself, or your Emerge contact in your university. If you don't know them yet, you can go through us and we'll do the contact. Juliette?
Yes, thank you for your presentations. I had a question because I work as I am in charge of knowledge transfer at Rennes 2. I was wondering, you were saying that the Emerge Alliance could be used to answer consortium EU calls. I was wondering if you had any examples or precisions about these calls and how we can anticipate them and be in charge of gathering researchers in this perspective. Thank you.
Well, today we have no, let's say, no general topic already raised by the. We are at the level where we try to gather people, and so that they manage to be willing to apply for a call, but we have no. We are supposed at the end of the day to raise some clusters in Emerge. But it takes time for researchers to know each other and to create some kind of group, you know. So we are not ready to provide you with some topics already.
And also, I don't think that would work. Academics, if the university tells you there's a topic and you must join it, then this is not usually how academics choose their partners. It has to work organically from people who feel that they share interests or research but the idea is that we enable that through our network. So that will happen, but as Francois says, in a little time.
Yeah. And you know, for instance, if I take the example of what Bastien just showed, it's quite unusual because it's not a scientific topic in itself. It's much more than that because it's working with many fields and many kind of science, mixing social sciences, human sciences with hard sciences. So it's to me, it's more, these webinars are designed to shed light on this kind of very transdisciplinary topics. And after a while, hopefully we can build a researchers group working on it and applying for calls later on. We need to reach this goal. Yeah, at the end, sure.
At the end.
We all need money at the end of the day. And maybe a question for Michel, because what we see on the handicap side is that it takes a lot of time to meet with and engage with communities, because there are many different kind of people involved in the health sector, but also in the, say, helping people. So I think you have the same issues in autism. So how do you cope with this?
With our group in particular, our approach has been invite many, and those who are interested will come or have capacity at that particular time. So with our, let's say, with the wider group, not just tied to the Arise project, you know, we have probably about 50 members, but at any given time, we probably have like 14 to 15 people like really actively engaged and coming to our meetings. And it just varies and changes depending on who's available or who wants to link in with particular projects. And then, like, for example, with this, the Arise project, people who that spoke to or were interested, I could kind of look through our membership and identify, you know, this kind of speaks to your expertise. Would you be interested? So again, for us, I think it's been a kind of, as we meet people or as we need expertise, we search it out, you know, we look for it and we invite people. And then when we have that relationship, we can kind of go back to people and ask, or sometimes people bring the ideas, you know, because their ideas are coming generally from the autism community. So what we're bringing, I guess, from the university side is that kind of access to varied expertise. So I think we quite, in a planned way, seek to have that varied expertise available. I guess that's something we're offering to the community. So for us, it's trying to find the people who have that expertise within our networks, either professionally. I'm from the health side, so you know I'm familiar with that. We have people then on the design side who lead within the group, and they source people. So I suppose people are a major resource. That knowledge, that expertise is a resource. So I would say that we kind of have sought it out within our network to be able to call on it then as needed.
Michel?
Yeah.
I suspect that Francois means how did you contact people outside the university?
Oh, well, that has come through our professional network. So the community groups that we link in with initially were groups that I knew through my professional networks. I'm an allied health professional. And then it's been linking in, like, you know, for example, in this current project, we are linking in with people from the visually impaired community who we don't really know. So we just reach out to the group, tell them about the project and invite them along. I suppose just having those spaces available for people to come join and contribute. If the project speaks to them and has meaning to them, then they want to be there and be involved. Multiple means of engagement is helpful. If people can't be present, then you have an online option, or you have I'll send you through the documentation to review. So I suppose we try to create multiple ways for people to engage.
Thank
Does that
you.
get to it better, Francois? Sorry.
Yeah.
I was rambling, I think, was I?
Not at all. And I was really interested how you got people in the university. I just know from talking to Francois that it's how to get people outside. But what you're suggesting is it's not really that difficult
I mean, it hasn't
if you
been for
create the
us.
space. Yeah.
Yeah. And people want to be involved, like this project in particular. I suppose it's very tangible and real. And, for us, actually, our fear is who we're leaving out. We've been kind of stakeholder mapping recently. We're a bit worried about who we don't reach out to. What voices will we not hear? We started off this project with particular groups that we wanted to include, but the council's remit for us has been broader. So we're just trying to ensure that we are including, that we're not missing out. And for us, that we go back to our community partners and say, is there anyone else you think that we should be reaching out to about this? And they've connected us with, for example, there's an organization called Healthy Limerick who coordinate information. So they will send our information then out within their networks. Similar, we have a sports partnership organization in Limerick. They will send out our information for us to various networks.
Interesting. So definitely, I see some bridges between what you do and what Bastien does. We can work on it.
Yeah, it'd be great. Love that.
Okay, so I think unless we have some more questions. Well, if not, so if I sum up, we will create a dedicated, let's say, web page where we can get the resources. And so the next webinar is not planned yet, so we will work on it and let you know, of course. So it will be with speakers from other universities from the Emerge Alliance. So we'll work on it in the coming month. You see something more, Maura, to say? You're mute.
Yeah, how long? Still I'm confused. I think it's nice that we were able to do it in about an hour, because I think if people like Thomas think, okay, it's just going to be an hour, this is manageable. And I was completely inspired and interested. I know I don't want to leave Pierre out. I know of a group in UL that do underwater research, so I'm going to put them in touch with you. It's I think it was lovely. I enjoyed myself anyway.
Me too. Okay, so we thank you all. See you next time. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.